Greetings. So, I missed an entire week. I was traveling for Holy Week, and in the process of getting ready to go on vacation, I just kind of forgot to do this. And then I was in Arizona, and I remembered, but I didn't bring my book along. And so I didn't know who I was going to be talking about. So today you're getting kind of a Holy Week summary. And then Sunday we'll get back on track for the last couple that there will be in this series. And then from there, I don't know what will be. I have yet to decide. So, in the description, I will list the Old Testament references that Ashley Wilcox includes in the reflections on Palm Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, Easter night, Resurrection Sunday night. I'm not going to speak about those because there's so much goodness in the stories of these women. And what I love about it is how clear it is that Jesus fully intends for women to be involved in preaching, which is sharing the gospel. Those are the same thing. It's abundantly clear. And so we're just going to go Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, straight through, using only the women that Wilcox includes on those reflections. Again, the texts for reference are listed in the description of the video, as well as the Old Testament references that use a lot of metaphor, God as language, female imagery. So, I've got the book right here because it's a lot to remember. For Palm Sunday, the text referenced is that of Pilate's wife. So remember, Pilate, Roman, their kind of oversight in charge of the Jewish population. They are responsible to, the Jewish leaders are responsible to Rome. Pilate's wife, who is not named, right? Another woman who is known only by her marriage to Pilate. We don't really know much about her. Her story in Matthew is but a blip. And the blip is this. While Pilate is talking to Jesus, seemingly to try to get Jesus to say something that he can use to prevent the Israelites from crucifying Jesus, because that is a Roman decision. That's not something the Pharisees and scribes and leaders of Israel could have done on their own. So it looks a little bit like Pilate is trying to get Jesus to say something that will free him. Not sure on the motivation of that. But Pilate's wife, in the midst of this, sends a message to Pilate begging, essentially, Pilate to step back, to not get involved. And she names Jesus as an innocent man. And she states that she has been bothered all day by a dream about this man. So here we have, as Jesus is walking in his last 24, 36-ish hours of life, we have, this is actually later because this would be Friday morning technically. Anyway, we have this very clear moment where here again, God is speaking to and through a non-Jewish, aka Gentile, woman. That's a big deal. in these final moments of Jesus' life before his death and resurrection, Jesus teaches about a lot of women, and God moves through these women, and we learn a lot from them. And yet, religion takes these stories that are very, very evident and minimizes them. So, and this starts all the way back to the formation of what we now have as the Bible. So, Matthew's gospel limits this bit about Pilate's wife to, I have been using the word blip, and that's what it is. It's just this really brief little sentence. But it's a big deal. She is trying to do the right thing. But more importantly, God is speaking through this Gentile woman and is reaching out to her and planting seeds of faith in her recognition of Jesus and who he was. So then we go a little bit further into Holy Week. If we skip to what Wilcox assigned to Maundy Thursday, we get the unnamed woman who anoints Jesus beforehand for his burial. Now, this, if you recall, creates quite the debate among the male followers, right? They scold this woman for wasting a jar that could have been sold, money given to the poor, and Jesus says, you, men, can serve the poor at any time and at all times, for they are always among you. But this woman gave of her own to prepare me for the burial. Now, parenthetically, what Jesus is saying is, for the burial that she understands is coming for me, even though you do not. This is a woman who has been a follower. This is a woman who knows who Jesus is, who believes in his role as Messiah, who understands the messages that he has been trying desperately to get, at minimum, the disciples to believe. And she gets it. And so Jesus says about her that anytime the story of the gospel is told, her story will be told. And you know what? It is. Because she gave of herself to spend time with her Messiah while he was still with her and them. She gave him a gift, and she prepared him for burial. So then we go to Good Friday. And here Wilcox titles this little section simply "The Women Watch." It's a very important title because the men, the disciples that we always preach about and we always talk about and everybody can name them all, they have scattered as Jesus said that they would. They are not there. They're not at the foot of the cross watching. But the women are. Now, I keep saying the women because depending on the gospel, you get different names. Mary Magdalene is the one that remains consistent. We're going to talk more about her momentarily. She's the one that's consistent all the way through, very clearly named. But these are women who have been with Jesus throughout his ministry, and they are there to witness his death. They have not abandoned him. They are not running for fear. Why is that not more celebrated? It needs to be, because it says something. Now, Jesus, throughout his ministry, was very gracious with the disciples, right? Jesus understood that they weren't going to understand until later. But these women, they did understand. They did. And so they were there to witness, to help him know that he was still loved, to mourn, to begin their grief, to support one another. Now, I believe it's the Gospel of John, we do have the story that John is there, right? That Jesus talks to John about taking care of his mother. But what is consistent among the four Gospels is the women who are there to watch. Then we come to Holy Saturday. Again, just as the way that Wilcox has it organized. But also it would have been Saturday. So here again, in Luke's Gospel, we have this person of Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy man, a man of reputable standing, a man with some authority, who has this tomb that he is paid for, and he goes and requests the removal of the body of Jesus. He does this because the women have zero authority and zero power to do so. But somehow this man knows that it's necessary. Whether he understands who Jesus is or witnessed their witnessing and saw their suffering and saw their grief, there's a lot that we don't know, right? But these women went alongside, and so now the 12 scattered. The women have witnessed Jesus' death. They are now, whether they're kind of skulking behind Joseph of Arimathea or walking with him because they've had a conversation, we don't really know. But they know where Jesus' body has been laid. And so they can go on their Sabbath with the assurance of knowing at minimum we know where his body is, and we can go take care of him. We can go take care of him. We can go honor and respect his body the way that we are meant to the moment Sabbath ends. Now go to Easter or Resurrection Sunday, and that is precisely what happens. The moment Sabbath breaks, the women go to the tomb and they find it empty. Now, gospel by gospel, there's some different stories about kind of what happens, who interacts with the women as they try and process the fact that the tomb is empty. But they are the ones. They are the ones who stay for his death, who honor his body and see where it is buried, who go to complete the ritual care that is required of them because of their faith. They are the ones. And they also are the ones, this goes to Resurrection Sunday evening, they are the ones to whom Jesus appears. And here we talk again about Mary Magdalene, whose life has been twisted. And what I did not know, I love this tidbit, this is from Wilcox, that a lot of Mary Magdalene's misinformation, including that she was a prostitute, which we don't have evidence of, began in the 6th century with Pope Gregory the Great, who kind of created this composite imagery and just named it all Mary Magdalene. I didn't know that that's how we got here. What we know about Mary is that she is a woman who Jesus freed of 7 demons. That's what we know about her. We know that she then continued on with Jesus throughout his entire ministry, watched him die, followed Joseph to the tomb, was there at resurrection, and is the one to whom Jesus first appears. The woman who has always believed in him, the woman who is fully committed. She is the one that Jesus first entrusts the next stage of spreading the gospel. Her. This woman that religion has made a prostitute, just an evil woman that we only know about for the grace of God. That's not the story. That's not the story in Scripture, even. She deserves to have her story, her name, told the way that we know it to be. Of all of the people, not Simon Peter, not the disciple whom he loved, John. That's a whole nother issue. We're not going to go there. Mary Magdalene. She is the one who he says, go tell the others. Go tell the others and wait for me. I will come to you and I will give you the next direction. And she does. And do they believe her? No. Now, it's a really hard thing to just believe. I do understand that. But I can't help but wonder if it had been Peter, who had been the one that Jesus first appeared to, and he then ran back and told them, would doubting Thomas really be doubting Thomas? Would the rest of them have believed Peter, the rock, the foundation on whom the church is built? Was it only when Peter ran to the tomb and saw the cloth, the linen? Is that when things changed? It's a good question, one to which we don't have an answer. But what we know is this. If you want a quick justification for the full inclusion of women, elder, deacon, ordination, solo pastor, head of consistory, supervisor over other pastors, whatever it might be, if you need a quick justification for that, Holy Week is your answer. Because in Holy Week, it is abundantly clear that God speaks through those who are willing to stay and be open and listen. Be that person. We're going to keep going. We've got a little bit of roller coaster left. We're going to keep going. I will be back on Sunday with the next stories. In the meantime, get out there and share this news and be bold. And care not what people say or think about you and your commitment to this person called Jesus. Tell his story and make the gospel available to any and all who will listen. Thank you for your patience in waiting for all of this. I apologize for the oversight. I will see you next time. Be well.